conversations, we took a first step, which is to issue a request for proposals. Now, some people may be very familiar with that kind of terminology, RFP. Some people may have never heard of it. The type of RFP that we put out was really a request for fee proposals. Sometimes people will ask for proposals and they're asking for designs. That is not what we asked for in this case. We asked for fee proposals because we wanted to have a sense of how much is this going to cost? And what might the approach be to do a design project for this? So we put out a request for proposals, and that's what we've done. Just those top two things. As soon as that happened, we began to hear some concerns from the community. And frankly, because of those concerns, we're in this meeting tonight, and we've also put this process on hold. So just so you know, we put out that RFP, we asked for proposals, we got 5 proposals back. We have postponed our interviews of these potential teams because we need to figure out with the community and with the city how we're going to now proceed with this project. So just to make that clear, you can see there's a lot of other steps to take here. We need to select a design team, we need to develop a concept design, and I'll go through some of the language of the RFP, but just to stress, one of the things that we asked for was for the design teams to explain how they were going to work with the community of users, all the various stakeholders, to develop the design. That was a key component that we were looking for. The city has to review that concept design, public comment will have to go through that, there will be opportunity for public comment of the concept design. Schematic documents are made, and you can see this goes on. We will need to do additional fundraising. I doubt we have all the money that we need to do a project like this. We've just projected an amount. It's really just our best guess. It's almost impossible to say how much a project will cost when you don't know what it is yet. So we made a best guess based on experience with other projects, and then we'll review the fee proposals, and based on concept designs, that's when we develop an actual construction budget. Then the city would, of course, review those construction documents. We would actually make the construction improvements, and then the city would accept the completed project. That's the process, and that's where we are at number 2. So I thought it would be important just to go over a couple of aspects from the RFP, just to eliminate hopefully any confusion. This is meant to be an outdoor learning and activity space, not a playground. One of the things that we asked for was for the design team, and we were looking for landscape architects working with artists, to give you a sense of the type of creative energy that we're looking for here. Landscape architects working with artists to creatively interpret the notion of a treehouse. That's very, very broad. And I'll show you some pictures later of the myriad ways that you can interpret that. And we're really waiting to see what the design teams might get back to us. The other thing that's very important from the RFP is that we said the design process has to be collaborative. It cannot simply be a designer saying, this is what we think, and then it going to the city, and that's it. That we wanted to engage the community, the children's mother, close family members and friends, children in general, because we want this to be a place where children are going to learn, and be excited to learn. And so we wanted kids to really actually be part of the design process. Local community members and educational experts. One thing we were clear about from the beginning and said in our responses to questions that we got is we are not looking to design a traditional playground. Nor are we looking to design a traditional treehouse. That is not at all the intent. So what are we looking to design? Well, here were some of the things, again, that we said in the RFP that was issued in April. We wanted to encourage imaginative play, and for people who aren't familiar with where this picture is taken, this is from Phipps Conservatory. We wanted children to engage directly with nature. We wanted it to be inclusive and accessible, in other words, meet ADA compliance. We want the space to use appropriate materials. This park, I think about this all the time. This park is being used today. It's a historically designed space and it's ecologically sensitive. That means any design has to touch all 3 of those things well. That's hard. We needed to respond to the local environment, so be very site-specific. We asked that it would respect the needs of neighboring homeowners, of which many of you are, and that it would take into account a significant war memorial. If you're familiar with the site, there is a war memorial there. We went on to describe how important it was to really kind of reflect an ecological balance, being made from natural, locally harvested materials, again, trying to be environmentally sensitive. Very, very important. Be designed with an eye towards long-term maintenance. This is a mantra of ours now with all of our projects, because we see how tragic it put a lot of money and effort into projects and then not have them be maintained over the long term. So early in the design, we have to be thinking about maintenance and include a space for temporary art installation. And this was an effort to include maybe some whimsical ideas that people wouldn't want to be as a permanent part of the space, but could maybe be there for 6 months or 3 months and then move on. And this was just an idea. So what might it be? Well, this is an example of a tree house that was built at Longwood Acres, which is in eastern Pennsylvania. This was actually built as part of a temporary art exhibit that they did. They had lots of tree houses. They were so popular that Longwood ended up keeping them there permanently. So this is now part of their permanent collection. This could also be interpreted as a tree house. This is really just an open sitting area with a nod to using trees. There's little things that look like tree houses. It's all wood, but it's more of a kind of sitting, passive space. And then this, completely different. This is a piece of sculpture that was put in at the Morris Arboretum in Philadelphia. And I show you these 3 pictures because I want to impress upon you that we do not have a fixed idea when we issued this RFP of what it might look like. There are so many different ways that this could be interpreted. And what we're looking for is for the design team that's ultimately selected to work with all those stakeholders to come up with a vision for what this space will be. So just to come back to where we are in the process, remember, we have done steps 1 and 2, and we've now put this process on hold. We are still very excited and very committed about this possibility. We have this incredible opportunity. We've been given a gift from the Ambrosco family, an incredibly generous gift that they want to contribute to our parks. And we believe that there's a really beautiful way to do that that will serve the needs of all park users and be embraced by the community where this is ultimately placed. Once we are able to listen to all of your feedback and work with the city, we'll figure out how to proceed with this outdoor learning space. But keep in mind, this is part of 13 outdoor learning spaces, part of a bigger picture for the Environmental Center, and clearly we want to work with all of you, and not just with the Regent Square community, but communities all over Pittsburgh that use the parks to help us better define how the Environmental Center will be used. So with that, before we break and hear from you, which is really why we're all here, is to hear from you, what I want to do is just leave you with this image and with this notion, that the point of all of this is to give kids an incredible place to engage with nature and their families. To be able to have that personal connection with the park that's going to build the park stewards of the future, so that in 50 years we've got an even more full room of people who are committed to Frick Park, and that that park is in even better condition every single year than it is today. And in order to do that, we've got to give children a wonderful way to access nature. So that's really what we're talking about. Little kids accessing nature. And just as a little anecdotal piece of information, this is one of these little girls is my littlest one, and this is just a fallen over tree. It just blew down in Junction Hollow, and there was a whole wide field. And what did these little girls do? They just ran right under that tree. They couldn't wait to get inside that kind of secret space that children love. So that's part of the vision for what this could be. So if you can kind of hold children in your mind as we start to share ideas and feedback, that would be wonderful. And with that, that concludes my presentation. And of course, we're here to listen to your feedback and answer all of your questions as best we can.